Loyalty is not just a word, it's a way of life. It's the foundation of trust, the glue that holds relationships, friendships, and partnerships together. A truly loyal man doesn't just stand beside you when things are good, he stands beside you when everything is falling apart. He fights for you when no one else does. He believes in you when even you doubt yourself. That's what makes his loyalty so powerful. It's not just a promise, it's a commitment sealed with action. A loyal man is the kind of person who gives his all without expecting much in return. He doesn't love halfway. He doesn't commit with conditions. When he says he's there, he's there. He protects, he provides, he stands firm even when the world tests him. His word is unshakable. If he tells you he has your back, you can sleep peacefully at night knowing that he does. If he calls you his brother, his friend, or his partner, he means it in every sense of the word. But here's the thing, loyalty like that is rare. It's not something you find on every street corner. It's not something you can buy. In a world where people switch sides for personal gain, where relationships are built on convenience instead of commitment, a truly loyal man stands out. He is different because he doesn't just follow the crowd. He operates on principle, not opportunity. His loyalty isn't dependent on circumstances, it's built into who he is. That's why when you hurt a loyal man, it cuts deep. It's not just about the pain of betrayal. It's about the fact that he gave you something priceless and you threw it away. He didn't just trust you, he invested in you. He didn't just stand by you, he fought for you. And when you break that, you don't just hurt his heart, you shake his belief in people. A loyal man doesn't love easily, but when he does it fully. He puts you above his own comfort. He prioritizes your happiness, sometimes even at the expense of his own. That's how much he values the people he lets into his life. He is willing to sacrifice, to go the extra mile, to stand in the storm for you, because in his mind, that's what loyalty is about. It's not about convenience. It's about commitment. But the truth is, not everyone recognizes the value of loyalty. Some people see it as weakness. They mistake kindness for naivety. They think that just because a loyal man doesn't give up easily, he'll tolerate anything. That's where they're wrong. A loyal man is patient, but he is not blind. He forgives, but he does not forget. And if you push him too far, if you take his loyalty for granted, if you betray the very thing that makes him who he is, you don't just lose a friend, a partner, or an ally, you lose something even greater. You lose the privilege of having someone in your life who would have done anything for you. You lose the presence of someone who would have stood by you through every storm, through every challenge, through every trial. Because here's the reality, when a loyal man finally walks away, he never comes back the same. He learns, he grows. He realizes that not everyone deserves the loyalty he once gave so freely. And that's when he becomes dangerous. Not in a way that seeks revenge, but in a way that refuses to let the wrong people take advantage of his kindness ever again. A loyal man is not just someone who sticks around. He is someone who protects, who supports, who lifts others up. And when you hurt him, you don't just lose a person, you lose something you may never find again. Because loyalty is a rare currency, and once you lose it, you may never earn it back. Pain is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It has the ability to break a man or build him into something unstoppable. When a loyal man is hurt, the pain doesn't just sit on the surface. It cuts deep. It shakes his foundation, questions everything he believed in, and forces him to confront the rawest parts of himself. But here's the thing, pain doesn't leave a loyal man the same. It forces him to evolve. A loyal man operates on trust. He believes in people, sometimes more than he should. He doesn't just give his loyalty, he invests in it. He sacrifices for it. He fights for it. So when he is hurt, when his trust is betrayed, when his love is taken for granted, when his efforts are dismissed, it isn't just a small wound. It is a deep rupture in the way he sees the world. At first, he might not know how to handle it. The shock, the confusion, the heartbreak. It all hits like a tidal wave. drowning him in emotions he never thought he'd feel. But here's what makes a loyal man different. He doesn't stay broken. Pain might bring him to his knees, but it won't keep him there. In those moments of suffering, he begins a transformation that changes everything. At first, he questions himself. Did I do something wrong? Was I too loyal? Did I put my trust in the wrong person? These questions eat at him, forcing him to look inward, to analyze, to search for answers. And through that process, something powerful happens. He begins to awaken. The pain becomes a teacher. It forces him to see things he once ignored. It makes him recognize the difference between those who truly value him and those who only used him. He starts to see patterns, red flags he once dismissed in the name of loyalty. He starts to understand that not everyone operates with the same integrity he does. And once that realization sets in, he can never unsee it. But the transformation doesn't stop there. The pain also fuels him. It pushes him to grow, to improve, to rise above what broke him. Where some men would become bitter, he becomes better. He channels every ounce of that pain into something productive. Maybe he starts working on himself physically, mentally, emotionally. Maybe he focuses on his career, his ambitions, his goals. Maybe he builds something so powerful that the very people who once hurt him are left in awe of what he has become. Because pain, when used correctly, is fuel. It sharpens the mind. It strengthens the spirit. It forces a man to strip away every illusion and rebuild himself from the ground up. And when a loyal man goes through that process, he doesn't just recover, he transforms. He becomes wiser, stronger, more disciplined. He becomes a version of himself that no longer tolerates the things he once accepted. At first, the people who hurt him may not notice the change. They may think he's the same person, still carrying the same level of loyalty, still willing to stand by them no matter what. But they will be mistaken, because the man they once knew is gone. The pain has reshaped him, redefined his limits, reprogrammed his way of thinking. He no longer gives his loyalty blindly. He no longer fights for those who wouldn't fight for him. Pain is not just suffering, it's transformation in disguise. It forces a loyal man to elevate himself in ways he never would have if he had stayed comfortable. It strips away his old self and forces him to build a stronger, sharper, more resilient version. And that version, that's the man the world will remember. When a loyal man is hurt, the first thing that people expect him to do is react. They expect anger, retaliation, a desire to even the score. They expect him to seek revenge, to lash out, to make the one who hurt him feel the same pain he endured. But that's where they misunderstand him. A truly loyal man doesn't waste his energy on revenge. He redirects it into something far more powerful: success. See, a weak man allows betrayal to consume him. He lets the anger sit inside him like poison, filling his thoughts with bitterness, making him lose focus on his path. He spends his days plotting ways to make the other person suffer, to make them regret what they did. But a strong man, especially one who knows the value of his loyalty, doesn't operate that way. He knows that revenge is a waste of time, a distraction from the bigger picture. He understands that the best response to pain is not to inflict it back, it's to rise above it. At first, the pain might tempt him to react emotionally. He might feel the pull of bitterness, the desire to prove a point, to show the one who hurt him that they made a mistake. But then he realizes something. They already lost him. That alone is the consequence. The moment they chose to take his loyalty for granted, they set their own fate. His absence is punishment enough. They may not see it immediately, but they will. Because a man like him, solid, dependable, rare, is not easily replaced. And when he walks away, he takes his strength, his support, his unwavering commitment with him. But he doesn't just walk away, he levels up. He takes every ounce of energy that could have been wasted on revenge and redirects it into himself. He builds, he grows, he improves in ways that the people who hurt him never expected. Maybe he focuses on his career, turning pain into motivation to achieve his biggest goals. Maybe he strengthens his mind and body, becoming the best version of himself. Maybe he surrounds himself with new people, ones who recognize and appreciate the value he brings. Whatever path he chooses, one thing is certain: he will not stay the same. And here's the truth. Nothing unsettles those who once hurt him more than seeing him thrive. Because deep down they expect him to crumble. They expect him to chase after them, to beg for explanations, to show them that he's struggling without them. But when they see him rising, succeeding, evolving into something greater than he was before, it forces them to confront the reality of what they lost. His growth is his revenge. His success is his response. While others stay stuck in cycles of regret and toxicity, he moves forward. He refuses to let betrayal define him. He refuses to let pain turn him into something he's not. Instead, he takes control of his story and writes a new chapter, one where he wins. And the beauty of it all, he doesn't even do it for them. He does it for himself. Because once a loyal man is hurt, he realizes that the only person truly worthy of his energy is himself. And from that moment on, nothing will stop him. When a loyal man is hurt, people often assume that time will heal things and that he will return to who he was before. They think that once the emotions settle, once enough apologies are given, or time has passed, he will come back unchanged, ready to be the same person he once was. But that is the greatest mistake anyone can make. Because once a loyal man experiences deep betrayal, disappointment, or heartbreak, he may return, but he will never be the same. At his core, a loyal man values connection, commitment, and trust. He builds his relationships on a solid foundation of integrity and consistency. He doesn't give up on people easily, and he doesn't walk away without a fight. He believes in the best of others, often beyond what they see in themselves. That's why when he invests in someone, whether in friendship, love, or partnership, he does so with an open heart. He gives fully, never holding back, never calculating the risks. But when that trust is broken, something inside him shifts. At first, he wrestles with the pain. He questions everything, his judgment, his choices, even his own sense of reality. How did I not see this coming? How could I have been so blind? These questions haunt him, forcing him to examine every detail of what happened. He replays moments in his head, analyzing where he ignored the signs, where he gave too many chances, where he was too forgiving. This process isn't just about the pain of being hurt. It's about the lesson buried within it. And once that lesson is learned, he is no longer the same man. His perception changes. The way he gives his loyalty shifts. He no longer offers it freely. No longer assumes that people deserve it simply because they ask for it. He becomes selective, discerning, careful in ways he never was before. He starts seeing people for who they truly are, not just who they pretend to be. He listens to actions more than words. He watches patterns instead of promises. If he returns to the same people who hurt him, they will notice it immediately. The warmth in his eyes is different. The easy trust he once had is gone. He still carries strength, but it is no longer in his willingness to endure. It is in his ability to walk away at any moment. He no longer tolerates disrespect, inconsistency, or manipulation. He sets boundaries, and this time they are unshakable. He has learned that his loyalty is a gift, not an obligation. And if he doesn't return, those who lost him will feel the weight of his absence. They may not understand it at first. They may think he is just being distant, that he needs time. But eventually they realize he is not coming back in the way they hoped. The version of him that once excused their mistakes, that once gave endless chances, no longer exists. The most powerful thing about a loyal man who has been hurt is not that he becomes cold or bitter. It's that he becomes wise. He moves differently. He speaks differently. He carries himself with a quiet strength that tells the world, I know my worth now. And that is something no one can ever take from him again.